Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, we got waiver wire targets. Let's find out whether or not you should add. I've got about 8 to 10 players for you guys to go over. We're going to focus on all the players that are less than 50% rostered. Those are the guys you can add. Don't want to hear in the comments, oh, this guy's over 50% rostered. Why would you even talk about it? Why would you even add him? I'm not going to do that. But some of these guys, you guys might already have. So we'll get into them. We got some lower roster guys. Got some guys closer to 50%. We'll cover each and every position. Quarterback, tight end, running back, wide receiver. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Comment down below with any players to add, players to drop that you're considering. Happy to help out there. And go check out our friends over at BetFred. Bet 50, get 250 in the NFL all season long. That link is down below in the description. If you haven't taken advantage of it, what are you doing? A great offer for anyone that's looking to bet on the NFL this season. All right, let's start with the wide receiver position. Looking at Greg Dortch, 17% rostered. Obviously, in my mind, this guy is one of the top options this week, considering the AJ Green knee injury, his status up in the air for next week. And then we have Rondell Moore, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury. Seems like it's a lot more severe than what the team has been telling us. He hasn't really even been a consideration in the first 3 weeks of the season. I think he was considered out 3 or 4 days before the game on Sunday. So I think it's another week of no Rondell Moore and likely no AJ Green. Dortch, 20 receptions on the season. That's 10th at the position. He's averaging 7.6 targets per game. That is fantastic. He's running more routes than Zach Ertz. He's running 88% of his routes from the slot. So it really, to me, looks like he's taking that Christian Kirk role from last season. His average depth of target, 5 yards. To me, he's a safe volume play in PPR leagues. This is a perfect add if you guys are in a bind and you need someone to play at wide receiver. He's one of the guys you can add here that you can immediately play. So definitely look to add Greg Dortch where you can. Let's get to the next guy here. I've got Zay Jones, 10% rostered. Definitely someone I think a lot of people in your league will look past and not take too much from his performance so far. He's tied with Christian Kirk in targets on the team with 24. Kirk has had the benefit of seeing plenty of end zone targets, plenty of end zone work. We got Zay Jones averaging 58 yards per game, which is solid. This team is 24th in passing play percentage. Surprisingly, they've been in a lot of good game scripts in terms of being able to be balanced, run the football. I've said before the season, I think the Jags will have a bounce back year. Do I think they will continue to be a team that lives well above 500 and is always in these positive game scripts like they were last week? I don't really think so. I think this team by the end of the year will be much closer to the upper half of the league in terms of passing play percentage. So more volume that means for Zay Jones, and he's already got plenty of good volume in terms of 24 total targets. What is that? Eight targets per game. That's a very solid number for you guys. Another player on this team that they invested money in the offseason via free agency. So someone they're giving the ball to. He seems to be the number 2 option in my mind behind Christian Kirk. So this is, for all of you that didn't listen to me for Christian Kirk in the preseason, this is your Walmart Christian Kirk in Zay Jones, 10% rostered. So take a look at him. If he's available, he's someone you could certainly consider. Continuing with wide receiver, let's go to Romeo Doubs, 25% rostered. So the case here was leading up to this game, the Packers had plenty of injuries. Didn't think Allen Lazard was going to play. Christian Watson was out. Didn't even, Sammy Watkins going out and on IR. Didn't even seem like Randall Cobb was going to play. So there's a big talking point from Matt LaFleur leading up to the week of we're going to need to have Romeo Doubs involved plenty in this offense. Worked out exactly that way. Led the team in routes run. He had 8 total targets and 8 receptions in the game with 73 yards and a touchdown. To me, Romeo Doubs is certainly a player I'm targeting. I'm not going to spend a ton of my FAAB to add him. Just in my mind, this is a player who, the biggest concern for me is his ADOT last week was only 3 yards. Do they see him as a guy that can be a monster after the catch, as opposed to an A.J. Dillon or an Aaron Jones in that area of the field? I don't really think so, but he did run 83% of his routes from out wide. So, hopefully they can look to him more downfield and to be more explosive for us. I'm a little bit concerned just with all the options they have in Green Bay that I'm not 100% sure he's the guy, but in any case, this is the Packers offense and this is Aaron Rodgers. So it is a player that you might want to have a share of. You want to grab a piece of this offense, whether it's Romeo Doubs, whether it's Allen Lazard, whether it's Christian Watson. But right now, Christian Watson's giving Romeo Doubs every opportunity to be ahead of him on the depth chart and getting more opportunity with his injury. So honestly, if I'm ranking this entire offense, I'd probably go Allen Lazard 1, Romeo Doubs 2, Christian Watson 3 is how I would prioritize these guys as of right now. Let's get to the last wide receiver. I'm looking at Isaiah McKenzie, 41% rostered. This is a Buffalo Bills team, 5 wide, that's the show, and this Buffalo Bills team is running 5 wide sets and 4 wide sets plenty this year. They had over 70 plays this week against the Dolphins. So if you can get a piece of an electric Bills offense and a team that's running a ton of passing plays, which I think they'll do all season long, I think that's valuable to you. So if he's available, he's someone you can add. He's second on the team in targets so far this season, and his yards per route run is second to Stephon Diggs. This is only a matter of time until he completely takes over this slot role in the Bills offense. Jamison Crowder is still being involved, still taking him off the field a little bit. You could be thinking that mistake that he made at the end of the game could be a problem in terms of continuing to trot him out there. I don't really think so. If he takes over and has the slot role all to himself from Jamison Crowder or close to all to himself, that's even more opportunity for this guy who's already being targeted plenty when he's on the field. And again, this is a more of a free ad. Obviously, you're going to be spending some priority or spending some FAAB, but is not someone you had to really draft to be able to add a piece of the Bills offense. And I think that's something you can do here if he's available. He's available in almost 60% of leagues. So hopefully he's available for you. Let's go to running back, a position that's got plenty of upside because of injury concern in a few different rooms. So we'll start with Khalil Herbert, 49% rostered. Wah, Tyler, this guy's rostered in so many leagues. Stop complaining. This guy's someone you got to talk about. We'll talk about a few of these types of guys. Ran for 157 yards in week 3 with a Montgomery injury. David Montgomery has never run for 157 yards in his entire career. I think Khalil Herbert's a better player, but that honestly doesn't matter what my opinion is. It matters what Luke Getsy's opinion is and what Matt Eberflus's opinion is. Still think Monty is the number 1 option in this offense, but he's got a knee ankle injury, apparently day-to-day, so we'll see. He might be able to be back. This guy's has been missing time for a few years now for 3 or 4 games at a time. So make sure you have Khalil Herbert. I was silly enough to drop him this week to add Zamir White, thinking that Josh Jacobs would miss time. So hopefully I can add him back. And I'm, honestly, if by the time we get to Tuesday night, if there's any more information on Monty, Khalil Herbert could be a very high priority add in terms of FAAB because this offense is running the ball in over 65% of plays. The backs are a focal point of this offense. So if there's any new news we get on Montgomery and it's any that indicates that he can miss extended time, Herbert is for sure a priority option if he's available. Second running back, again, I'm trying to dig deep here and find someone that's widely available. So we'll go to Samaje Perine, 6% rostered. Joe Mixon did leave the field or leave the game dealing with a ankle injury that had been bothering him. But it seems like it had been bothering him throughout the week and then was a bit more of a problem throughout the game. I don't think the Mixon's going to miss any time here, but Samaje Perine is the type of clear handcuff in this offense with Cincinnati, the type of handcuff that Khalil Herbert is, the type of handcuff that Alexander Mattison is, the type of handcuff that Jamal Williams is, but he's not rostered like it. Only 6% rostered. He's proved capable as a backup, 9 rushes for 47 yards, added 2 more receptions for 14 yards. I think in this offense with Zach Taylor at head coach, they're not really looking to ham and egg the running back position or really even have anyone spell the other. Perine can scoop up a couple touches if Mixon's, if something happens in terms of just being worn out and wanting to get off the field for a couple of plays. But if Perine were to step in as the number 1 option, I'd be plenty confident in playing him, and he'd be, in my mind, probably a top 24 option because although, people think about this passing offense and how good it is, this team still does rely on running the football. They run at a league average, and Perine can be involved as a pass catcher too. So if you guys are looking for someone you're not looking to spend priority on, you're not looking to spend FAAB on, I think you can kind of fly under the radar and add Perine, and he's a valuable handcuff that it seems like a lot of people are just not paying attention to. Let's get to tight end. Tyler Conklin, 21% rostered. Conklin has led the NFL at the tight end position in routes run. This guy is on the field plenty, and he's running his routes from in line, so he's not competing with many players for routes. He's not competing with an Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson or Corey Davis if they're moving to the slot. He's at the line of scrimmage and running routes from there on 62% of those routes. So it's a guy that's plenty involved. Honestly, I thought CJ Uzomah was either dead or he had a career-ending or season-ending injury. I think he had 1 target last week. That was like the first time I saw any stat sheet that involved CJ Uzomah. So it seems like Tyler Conklin's the clear option for these guys. He's 5th in targets and 4th in receptions at the tight end position as well. The major question point for me is Zach Wilson, is if he does return in week 4. He had a 14.1% target rate to the position last year, which was the third lowest in the league. So does that change Conklin's output in terms of target share in this offense if Zach Wilson is back? Now, Wilson last season didn't have any talent at the tight end position, so that could change with Conklin being there, a more reliable target for him. He could look there more often. Something to monitor, but I think Conklin, regardless, for anyone that's struggling at the tight end position, is a player to add because you know he's going to be out there and running plenty of routes. That gives you the best opportunity to hit on this tight end position, which can be a barren wasteland if you don't have some of the top 6 to 8 guys at the position. Last one. Again, as a Trey Lance manager, I'm going to touch on the quarterback position each and every week. Played Marcus Mariota. Worked out decently well for us. He had a rushing touchdown, but now we got to find someone else with Mariota going up against a much tougher opponent this week. Jared Goff. Let's go back to the Seahawks Seahawks well here. They have the Seahawks in week 4. Only the Cardinals have a worse coverage grade than the Seahawks. The Lions throwing the ball quite a bit. Lions are averaging 37 passing attempts per game. Goff's been solid, well over 200 yards passing per game. Week 2, he had 4 touchdowns in that game against the Commanders. I think this offense looks quite good. Monroe St. Brown, I don't think he's going to miss time this week. I think he'll be back out there after the injury and returning back into the game this past week. Swift's injury, though, I do think that's actually... I like Swift as a pass catcher, but I do think this could help us out in terms of Goff's numbers from a fantasy perspective, not so much from a team performance perspective. Jamal Williams has been terrible on the ground this year. He's averaging less than 3.5 yards per carry. Dan Campbell has an affinity for this guy that I just can't explain. So I think they'll struggle on the ground, even though the Seahawks haven't been great against opposing running backs. We saw Cordell Patterson last week, but I don't like Williams here. I think this team will get into the type of game script where they'll be throwing the ball just as much as they have the first few weeks, and against a defense where they can score maybe some more points or keep up that pace they've been on the first 3 weeks. So I like Jared Goff. He's 41% rostered, so someone that's not widely available, but in leagues where you're looking at 1 QB, this guy is probably available and someone that you can certainly add if you're in a pinch with a guy like Trey Lance missing time. Anyways, if we'll get to these last 2 guys, I'll just throw out there. Of course, Alexander Mattison and Jamal Williams are clear ads this week. I'll just quickly on Alexander Mattison, Dalvin Cook, the shoulder injury. He's been dealing with that for years now, it seems. I would be surprised if Cook misses the game this week. So Madison is an ad if he is available in your leagues. He's available in like 40%. Same goes for Jamal Williams, about 40%. So these guys are definitely ads. Jamal Williams for sure would be the most high priority ad in my mind. Even though I don't really like his ability, he's going to get plenty of volume still as the number 1 option in Detroit in a decent matchup against Seattle where they are 6-point favorites. So in terms of priority, I would definitely look at Jamal Williams, and I would definitely look at Greg Dortch as the my 2 favorites this week. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below with any players you might need to drop for these guys. Happy to give any advice that we can. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.